Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Hope Watts, board certified family physician, health coach, speaker, and excuse me, I'm sorry. I just have to invite some guests in. This is Dr. Hope Watts, board certified family physician, health coach, speaker, and lifestyle manager. We welcome you today, and we hope that you will have an enjoyable time listening to what we have to say. In the last session, we were talking about different types of diets. We reviewed the pros and cons of diets, and we also talked about some of the major diets that may be familiar to everyone today. And some of them, one or two was the fat smash diet, the Mediterranean diet, and the paleo diet, to name a few. And last time we were here, we had a request for intermittent fasting. I find it's a very fascinating topic because it has moved and changed over the years. And so we're going to give you some of the basic information on intermittent fasting. So for those of you who want something that's going to work and work very well, this may be the one for you, especially if you've tried some other diets before and they just did not seem to help you. The fasting is not a new concept. It is used by many religious groups, and the Muslims have their time of fasting, and it's usually associated with Ramadan. The Christians have their times when they have fasting. And I know some churches just do a fast during the beginning of the year for sometimes almost the whole month. The Buddhists also have their times when they do fasting, and so does Judaism. So it's not a new concept, but we're having some modern takes on the theme. So usually fasting now is about 1 day a week. Some people do 1 day a week. And other people will limit it to one meal a week. And but the scope of this particular talk is to just talk about basics, some basic things that you need to know. There are now several studies in humans that show that intermittent fasting does work very well in the right people. Everyone cannot do intermittent fasting, but it is considered safe and effective. So let's delve into it a little more. The definition of intermittent fasting is an eating pattern that cycles between eating and fasting for long periods of time. It is currently very popular among the health and fitness communities. Now, there are different types, modern types of fasting, and one type is considered the 16-8 method. And with this method, you restrict your eating for 8 hours. You'll restrict all of your eating to 8 hours. And that can be between 1 and 9 or some other time frame, just 8 hours. So during those 16 hours, we're assuming you're not going to eat anything because you're fasting. Another type of fasting is called eat, stop, eat. Funny name, right? It involves fasting for 24 hours once or twice a week, and then you'll eat, for the other days you'll eat like a regular meal time, probably 3 meals a day, because fasting is not that you can try any different combination of times. So you would probably stop eating dinner. For example, you could probably stop eating one evening at dinner time, and then you will resume your meal uh, 24 hours later at dinner time. There is another type of intermittent fasting, and that fasting is a little bit more restrictive. So 1 or 2 days a week, you limit your calories to 500 to 600 calories. Now that sounds like very little food, and it is. You don't want to do it 2 consecutive days. You'll just like maybe Monday and Thursday, and you eat normally during the other 5 days. So you may have like a 5-day work week. Excuse me, a 5-day work week, and on those days when you're not fasting, you can eat probably 3 meals a day. Either way, you're reducing calories, and that's what this diet is more about: reducing calories over a certain period of time. And it should cause weight loss. But one of the caveats is that some people, they realize they're fasting. They've committed to it, and they know they can't eat at certain times, but when it's time to eat, they eat everything in sight. That is not that's not the tenets of that type of diet. So they want you to eat a healthy diet during the time that you're eating, and they want you to avoid eating foods that are not healthy at all. Okay, so I gave you 3 different types of intermittent fasting. And the type that is used more often is the 16-8. So let me review that again. 16 means the time that you are not eating at all. 8 means the time that you are going to be eating, and you are going to stick to the diet. So I mentioned a time frame, 1 to 9 p.m. So if people work a different shift, that will work ideal for them because they may be home at that time. Another time is 7 to 3 p.m., 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And for some people who are at work around that time, that will probably work best for them also. It just depends on the person's schedule. So you can see there's some flexibility here that you can build in yourself. But our bodies are bodies of habit. So we don't want to do a 7 to 3 p.m. and then 3 days later we're doing a 1 to 9 p.m. because your system works in cycles also. So you want to make sure that you're doing the same time every day. So what should I eat during this diet? Mickey D's is out of the question, of course, and so is Burger King, like you didn't know, right? So I've been stressing healthy, wholesome meals. So guess what? After looking at several articles, I realized that everyone was very consistent about what they recommended, and that is a Mediterranean diet. Now, for those of you who weren't here last week, we talked about the good points about the Mediterranean diet. It has a lot of wholesome fruits and vegetables. As a matter of fact, a lot of people in the Mediterranean eat lots of fruits and vegetables. And they use a lot of olive oil and any other good oil, such as avocado or whatever. And the protein in the diet is mostly fish and chicken. I didn't see like steaks and things like that. Also, they drink lots of water, and that diet does allow for wine to be drunk, at nighttime with your meal. So you do have a healthy diet, and you're also losing weight because you're restricting calories. So during the times that you're fasting, you do need to, sometimes people get hungry and they're thirsty. So I would recommend, and the recommendation has been, that you could have black coffee or tea and 0-calorie beverages, none with a lot of sugar in them, because sugar has a tendency to rev up your appetite. So you don't want that to happen either. And we talked about what to eat during the eating periods also. Okay. So, well, suppose I try this diet. How do I know how I'm going to feel on it? Because I usually eat, and I'm quite sure most of you eat at least 3 meals a day over a longer period of time. So there is an adjustment period. And it shows for most people it's 2 to 4 weeks. And some people get very hungry and cranky. And I don't know about you, but I do. I get very hungry and cranky. I get hungry and I get cranky also if I haven't eaten anything. People who make it through that time period tend to do well with the diet because they're feeling better. And then they're realizing I don't have to eat all that food just to feel better. And they usually have a lot of energy also. So let's talk about some of the health benefits of intermittent fasting. Weight loss, as we've been talking about. And the weight loss is usually in the belly area where people call it the muffin top. Some people have a bigger muffin top than others. But that's where we see a lot of the weight loss. The other thing that intermittent fasting does do is helps with insulin resistance. Now, just to kind of bring that home, many people have heard about prediabetes, and that's kind of the syndrome that you're in when you have insulin resistance. So this diet helps bring your blood sugars down 3 to 6%. And it also brings the amount of insulin down about 20 to 30%. So many of the researchers are thinking that this could help people, number one, lose weight and decrease some of those other issues that are going on in their systems. Another thing that it does is it helps the heart. It helps with the bad cholesterols. And everyone, if you don't know, it's called the LDL cholesterol. And that's the cholesterol that they treat very heavily because it's associated with heart attacks and strokes. Another cholesterol that people may not know as much about is the triglycerides. And they can also impact heart attacks or strokes. So the other thing, I'm telling you all the good things, and I was just so surprised. I was surprised that it can help lower blood pressure, and it can decrease your resting heart rate. Now, most people, when they check their pulse, it's about 70 to 80. But if you've exercised for a period of time, it will be lower than that. It may be like 70, 69, 65. I don't know how low it lowers it, but if yours is in the 90s all the time, getting down to 70 is really a good thing. The other thing that it does help with is verbal memory. And that was just a side study. So that study probably has to be replicated to really consolidate that information. And one article that I saw stated that it may help protect against Alzheimer's disease. And that's probably because people are not eating a lot of processed foods, which have no nutritional value in at all, and you're pushing your foods more into the more nutritional levels. It also helps with what they call physical performance. So a lot of times when you're losing weight, you will lose muscle mass, and you will have to build it back up again. And they're saying that people who do this intermittent fasting don't lose as much muscle mass. It also increases your metabolic rate, and that's the rate you burn off calories. So that means that, when you're exercising or doing anything else, your metabolic rate is much more increased. So you are going to pull all those fat stores out and lose weight. And so it helps that also. I did read one part that said it has an anti-aging effect. Wouldn't we all want something like that? I can't say for sure, but it says preliminary studies, and these are in rat models, show that their longevity was a little longer. So we'll have to wait until we get more human studies on that. So these studies and some of the studies that I've talked about are still in the preliminary stages. Sometimes research takes a while to catch up with what we're seeing and what people are sensing when they're trying this diet. So we're going to have to wait for human studies that validate some of these other studies in animals. So is intermittent fasting for everyone? No, and that's what we talked about last time. Intermittent fasting is not for everyone, and every diet is not for everyone because we all have our own individual lifestyles that we like and certain things that we like. So, with any diet, as we discussed last time, you should always speak with your doctor and discuss with him or her where you are in your health. So, we want you to start out healthy and make sure there are no what they call contraindications for you to not be on the diet. So, let's just discuss some of the things that, or some of the people who should not entertain this type of diet. Children and teens under 18. It is not wise to put children on diets. We can restrict maybe their high calorie foods, but not put them on a diet such as this. Women who are trying to conceive, who are pregnant, or who are breastfeeding. Those are times in a woman's life when she needs to maximize her calories because she's really taking care of an infant. And if she's breastfeeding, she's going to need all those extra calories to help breastfeed. A personal history of eating disorders, such as anorexia or bulimia, those types of diseases, if you will, may promote these individuals who have had this before to put them back into those types of risky behaviors. And some have gone so far to restrict their calories so much that some of them have passed away. Diabetics or prediabetes. And I know I said that does decrease blood sugars, and it also decreases the insulin level. So I would direct you to see your physician to see if you can, under their supervision, see if this diet will work for you. People with low blood pressure, I've already said that it changes your heart rate. So if your blood pressure is low, that's probably not the one for you to use. Persons with irregular menstrual periods, because you're eating less calories, you may just stop having menstrual periods. So, long term, can this diet be used long term? The answer is probably yes, because if your body gets used to fasting for that amount of time, we're talking about the 16-hour fasting with 8 hours of an 8-hour period where you're eating your food, it becomes a lifestyle change. And people tend to do better when they've incorporated into a lifestyle change. Keep in mind that just because you started out with a diet doesn't mean you will finish with a diet, because as we stressed the last time, every diet is not going to work for everyone. And I've stressed that people need to find one that fits their lifestyle. And I gave the example of the fat smash diet that we discussed last time. That diet requires 3 meals a day with snacks in between. And one of my patients said, Dr. Watts, that's just too much food. And I feel like I'm on a rat race. I'm always eating something. So that diet didn't work for them, but maybe this diet will. So do your research so that you know what to expect and run that information by your doctor. So if there are any questions, please put them in the chat. And we have a person who has been doing intermittent fasting, and this particular person feels that 11 to 7 p.m., 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. is the best time for her. So we have someone here who has definitely tried this particular diet before. Noon to 8 can be another suggestion. So if you have other questions, please check it out. Please type them in the chat for me. So we're just going to go over a few things that people normally ask about, questions and answers people have about the intermittent fasting, like what kind of beverages can I drink? And we touched on water, coffee, and tea. And this one article said that small amounts of cream can be used. Skipping breakfast, that is an all-time question that everybody asks. But the problem is that people who skip breakfast just have poor lifestyles. They don't eat on a regular basis, so they're kind of skipping the breakfast is not an excuse. You still need to eat healthy, wholesome foods. Supplements are okay to use with this diet, and of course, you would want to make sure you're taking them with a meal, because some of those supplements get absorbed. For example, vitamin D and vitamin E have to be absorbed with a fatty meal. One question was kind of curious to me, and maybe they hadn't read the information. Will fasting decrease your metabolic rate? It will not. It will increase your metabolic rate so that you can lose weight on a very gradual way. And we know that if you gradually lose weight, you will not put it on as fast. So this is Dr. Hope Watts, board certified family physician, health coach, speaker, and lifestyle manager. And our goal is to help mid-career women find the best diets and fitness level so they can live their best life. I want to thank everyone who's joined me today. And next week, we will delve into some more information about weight loss. Have a wonderful weekend and hope to see you next week.